I'm Coach Mary Medley, and I help people who are dealing with mindset trauma from narcissistic abuse as well as childhood trauma from the same. If you look at my earlier videos, you're going to see that I have been talking about imposter syndrome. And the reason that I have segued to narcissistic abuse is because over the last 2 years or so, I have found that every single time I am talking to a client about their imposter syndrome, it has a source. Someone somewhere put this idea in them that no matter what they do, they are incompetent. And in my research and my search, I found a link between the two. Most of the time, people who think that they have imposter syndrome or feel like frauds, it's because they have had repeated mindset shift and mindset implantation of narcissistic trauma. And it's always from a person with some kind of authority. In one of my videos about imposter syndrome, I speak on authority. There is the implied authority, the one that when you're born, it's there, your parents, your guardians, people who have more power than you because they are older than you or they take care of you. Then there is that authority that you give to someone that you care about, someone that you love, and someone who's supposed to love you back. Usually, those two are the reasons why someone ends up with severe imposter syndrome. And many people think imposter syndrome is something you can just think away. You can just change your mind about it. And sometimes that's the case, but not all the time. There are people who have changed entire careers because they have imposter syndrome. And today we're going to discuss narcissistic abuse and what it is not, so that as we work towards understanding how narcissism ends up creating imposter syndrome, we can first understand what it is. Now, so many people have already made so many videos explaining to you what narcissistic abuse is. And I'm going to be one of them. I'm just going to add a few notes and pieces here and there that might be of help. On the board behind me, which I'm going to stand and I'm just going to jot on, you're going to see exactly how this goes down. So let's start here. So how many times have you said to someone, you're a narcissist? You have given them that name. And yet you might not realize that there's a difference between narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, which is diagnosed by a medical clinical therapist, and narcissistic tendencies or traits. We're going to discuss the criteria that someone has to have in order for them to be at least diagnosed baseline with NPD. Regardless of what we discuss here, it doesn't mean that you are not going through narcissistic abuse. You might recognize some traits that someone with NPD has with someone who is just having narcissistic tendencies. And I'm also going to explain the difference between that and the disorder. So, to begin with, the disorder has to be diagnosed. So, the first criteria is you have to have gone to a therapist's office so that they can be able to test you. And there are several levels of testing, but we're just going to see this. Criteria number one is the DSM NPD criteria. Okay, it has several levels. You need to score at least 5 out of 9 for this. So, number one of this criteria, you have to have that grandiose sense of self-importance. This is a person who believes they are the most important person in the room at all times. It doesn't matter what you think, what you are doing, none of that matters, okay? Then the second criteria is a person who has a very high sense of entitlement. It's all about them. They're entitled to your happiness, to your success, to your praise, to your work, to your friends, to your money, to your finances. These people believe they are entitled just because they are in your presence. In fact, you should be thanking them that they are in your presence. They are doing you a favor. They are entitled, and that's what they believe, and they act accordingly. Okay? They always act like that. Number three, it's a person who lacks empathy. This is very important. And I think the difference, based on the work that I have done with some of my clients, the difference between a person with NPD, the biggest difference I've seen, and a person who is just having narcissistic tendencies and bad behavior, a person who's just being a jerk and an idiot, the biggest difference has been empathy. Because empathy means you are able to see the other person's suffering. You are able to see how your behavior is affecting the other person, and you're able to adjust yourself. You're able to apologize. You're able to be vulnerable. You cannot have empathy and lack vulnerability. They go hand in hand, because when you see someone suffering and you feel it and you think about it and you realize, yes, what they're going through is not right. I should change my ways, or that person should change their ways. Having empathy is being able to put on the other person's shoe and see what they're going through as unfair and commiserate with them, understand them, be there for them. Narcissists or people with NPD do not have empathy. Another thing is they're very exploitative. They take advantage to their own benefit, regardless of what the situation is. Excuse me. Are you sick? They will take advantage of that to their benefit. Are you rich? They'll take advantage of that to their benefit. So, this is where manipulation tactics come in. They will exploit you, they will exploit your situation, good or bad. It's very exploitative. Another one is extreme arrogance, lack of humility. You're arrogant all the time. You're not humble. You don't know how to be humble. Why should you be humble? They even ask that, why should I be humble? So it's all about them. In their arrogance, they believe they're always right. Everybody else is always wrong. And even if they are wrong, it's just that they are wrong for now, but you're going to see how right they are eventually. So they're extremely arrogant. They don't believe that they could be wrong about anything, meaning they're not going to be interested in hearing your point of view. Then the next thing is envy. Envy. Either they're envious of others or believe other people are envious of them. They always think that you're out to get them because they're so perfect and they're so good, and you want everything that they have. You want their car, you want their wife, you want their cat, you want their dog, you want their job, you want their money, you want their looks, because they believe that they're the most good looking people in the world, and you just want what they want. Envy. And when they see that you have more than them, they get extremely envious. They want what you have. And so if they can't join you, they can't get it, they try to take it from you. They become very destructive in their arrogance, in their exploitation, and in their grandiose sense of importance. It all comes together. The seventh thing that I'm going to note is they're preoccupied with fantasy. Preoccupied with fantasy of success, of grandness, of a big life. These people might not do anything to improve their life. They might not do anything for themselves, but they believe that they should be the biggest person in the room. So when they walk into a room and they are not the biggest person, they get sad and depressed and angry, and they take it out on the next person. Usually it's a loved one. Could be a wife, a sibling, a child. It could be a partner, a business partner, a colleague. They believe they're the best. Remember, the arrogance. It comes here. They're preoccupied. And you see, most of them are just in a world of their own because they believe in that world they're the biggest person. Okay? Then they need excessive admiration. They have to be admired. They do something for you, you have to say thank you 10,000 times, and it's still never enough. You're constantly having to show them gratitude that is not enough for them. They're in constant need of it. No matter what they do, they want to be admired. They want you to announce it. He bought you a house, you have to tell everybody that he bought you a house. She paid for something, she paid for a meal. You have to praise her. She's so amazing. She paid for this meal. And then when someone walks in the room, you have to tell the person, oh my God, she's so amazing. Do you know what she did? She paid for dinner. And this has to keep going until they feel, and it's actually until the next thing that they give you, the next excuse that they give you so that you can show them admiration. They are never satisfied. So if you don't show admiration, then you're not catering to them. You're not catering to their need. And therefore, they cause you problems. This is excessive. It's in excess, the admiration that they need, and they require it. They require it. And nine, they believe they're special, they're unique. No one is like them, no one does it like them, and everybody loves them. Everybody sees them and they just want to hang out with them. That's what they believe. And so when any of this doesn't happen for them, if you don't treat them like they're special and unique, that's a problem. They break down, and the way they break down is by lashing out. If you don't give them excessive admiration, that's a problem. You have to see how arrogant they are and exploitative. Who has NPD? It's a person who scores 5 out of 9 of this. So out of this 9 characteristics, if they have 5, then they have NPD. And this is just the first step. Like I said, you have to have this person agree to go to therapy. Most of them don't do therapy because therapy requires vulnerability, and their arrogance cannot allow vulnerability. Their lack of humility cannot allow vulnerability. If they're so special and unique, why do you think they would agree to go for therapy? Those who end up in therapy, it's usually because they have tried to avoid it and eventually they have landed in the therapist office. They had no choice. And they still require admiration in excess. You don't admire someone who needs help. That goes against their line of thinking. So if they score 5 out of 9 after getting this test, which is given in a therapist office, then you know that they have NPD. There are other tests to be done, and a therapist will be able to see how far in this psychopathy is this person. Are they inching towards sadism? Are they psychopaths, social psychopaths? What kind of psychopathy are they inching towards? So when you tell someone you're a narcissist, you have to know what you're talking about. Are you pointing out to their NPD, which you cannot know unless you're a medical therapist? Or are you talking about the narcissistic tendencies and traits? Now let's talk about those narcissistic tendencies and traits. Number one, selfishness. Yes, someone with NPD can be selfish. However, selfish people exist, and it doesn't mean that they are narcissistic or they are narcissist. It's just one trait that has been borrowed from a person with NPD. Meanness, someone who's just constantly mean, someone who is arrogant. Remember, NPD is 5 traits combined out of 9 minimum. Some people have all of them. But if someone is arrogant, it doesn't mean that they are a narcissist. Someone who doesn't know how to share. This might be an issue of how they were brought up. This might be a nurturing issue and not nature. If someone was not exposed to sharing as a child, they've not grown up knowing that they can give away anything, that doesn't make them a narcissist. It might make them have narcissistic traits or tendencies, but that doesn't mean that they have the NPD. It could be someone who has decided to keep to themselves. This happens sometimes with age. It happens sometimes after someone has been disappointed several times. So some people decide, I would rather just stay alone than mix with a social fabric that is not working for me. There are many other things that you could be able to add to this list. The important thing is to ask yourself, does this person truly have NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, or are they just a mean, selfish person? And the best way to know if someone needs to go in and see a therapist so that they might be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder is empathy. This is the most important part. If you see a person consistently lacking empathy, then they need to talk to someone at a professional level. I'm Coach Mary Medley, and if any of this has made sense, then please watch the next video. It will be adding more light on narcissism and what you can do about it.